1. The hollow walls. It started with whispers. I'd be sitting in my old armchair, the creak of the wooden floorboards under me as the wind battered the outside walls, when I'd hear it. At first, I dismissed it as nothing. Maybe the pipes, or the wind weaving its way through the cracks of my aging house. But soon, the whispers turned into light, fleeting footsteps, quick and almost imperceptible, dancing just on the other side of the wall. My heart would pound, and I'd call out into the empty room, my voice swallowed by the silence that followed. One night, unable to bear the sounds any longer, I pressed my ear to the wall. The moment I did, a cold breath met my skin, followed by a soft, chilling giggle that made my knees buckle. I stumbled back, heart racing. I called the police, but when they arrived, they found nothing. No traces of forced entry, no sign of anyone but me. The noises persisted, and as days passed, they grew louder, more urgent. I stopped sleeping, each night spent staring at the walls, waiting. It was only when the wallpaper in the hallway began to bubble and tear that I realized the truth. There, in the narrow gap between the wooden beams, a pale eye stared back at me. I screamed as a hand reached out, clawing its way through the crumbling wall. 2. The whispering cellar. I'd always been told never to go into the cellar at my grandparents' farmhouse. It was old, with warped steps that groaned underfoot and shadows that moved as if they were alive. But curiosity gnawed at me. One evening, while everyone was asleep, I tiptoed down, candle in hand, into the musty darkness. At first, all I saw were cobwebbed shelves and dusty jars filled with unidentifiable things. Then I noticed the whispers. They were soft at first, indistinct, a gentle hiss that seemed to come from nowhere. I leaned closer to the stone walls, straining to catch the words. The whispering grew louder, more urgent, and suddenly, it stopped. The silence was suffocating. I turned to leave, but before I could, the candle flickered and went out. Panic surged as I stumbled in the dark, hands searching for the steps. That's when I felt it. A cold hand clasping mine, pulling me deeper into the blackness. I screamed, but no one came. When they found me the next morning, curled up and muttering in the corner, I could only repeat one thing. It's still down there. 3. The Watcher's Window. The old house at the end of the street had stood empty for years, its windows dark, the paint peeling like dead skin. I never paid it much attention until one evening as I passed by, I noticed a light flickering in the upstairs window. I stopped, peering through the gloom, and there, behind the cracked glass, a face stared back at me. It was pale, gaunt, with hollow eyes that seemed to follow my every move. My heart pounded as I stumbled back, nearly falling into the gutter. I told myself it was just my mind playing tricks. But every night after, the same face was there, watching. Sometimes it was closer to the window, other times half hidden behind the tattered curtains, but always there, always watching. I finally called the police, and they searched the house from top to bottom. They found no signs of anyone, but they did find something disturbing. A set of handprints smeared in dust, trailing from the window to the attic hatch. Looks like someone's been living here, the officer said. But who, or what, it was, we never found out. 4. The Basement Man. Moving into a new house should have been exciting, but from the first night, I felt uneasy. The basement door was always cold to the touch, no matter how warm the rest of the house was. It creaked ominously whenever I passed, as if it were calling me to open it. One night, unable to ignore the feeling any longer, I flicked on the basement light and descended the creaking stairs. The air was damp, and a faint metallic smell made my nose wrinkle. Halfway down, the light flickered and went out. The darkness swallowed me, pressing in from all sides. My breath came in ragged gasps, and I froze as I heard shuffling below. Then came the voice, raspy and low. "You shouldn't be here!" Panic seized me, and I turned to bolt back up the stairs. Something cold brushed my ankle, and I tripped, clawing my way up the rest of the steps in blind terror. I slammed the door shut behind me and called the police. They found no one there, but the next day I found something they'd missed. A small, grimy handprint on the inside of the basement door. 5. The stranger in the closet. When I moved into my new apartment, I didn't mind the creaks and groans of the old building. It felt cozy in a way, like it had its own personality. But that changed when I began to notice the closet door in my bedroom. No matter how many times I locked it, it would always be ajar when I woke up. One night, determined to catch whatever draft or trick was causing it, I set up my phone to record. I fell asleep watching the sliver of darkness through the crack. I woke to the sound of the door creaking, my eyes snapping open to see a shape, tall and thin, emerging slowly from the closet. My heart pounded as I lay frozen, watching the figure stand there, motionless, head tilted as if observing me. I don't know how long I lay there, pretending to sleep while it hovered over me, breathing shallow and slow. Finally, as dawn light spilled through the curtains, it retreated back into the closet, pulling the door shut behind it. I moved out that very day, leaving the recording behind. I couldn't bring myself to watch it.